Everyone, today we're going to be solving compound inequalities. As a short review, remember that compound inequalities are inequalities that are joined by the words and or the word or. Remember that and inequalities can be written shorthand. For example, if I have x is greater than 20, but x is less than 30, and x is less than 30, I can rewrite this inequality as x is greater than 30, and I'm going to use that x twice. X is smaller than 30. Or inequalities cannot be rewritten. So if I had x is less than 30 and x is greater than 50, that with the or in the middle, needs to be there, would be my final answer. Let's go ahead and talk about solving them. Now, if I'm solving and inequalities, oftentimes and inequalities are written as one large inequality. Notice my variable is in the center and I need to isolate that, but I have two different inequalities, here and here. In order to solve this, I need to make sure I solve both inequalities, and I'm going to do that at the same time. To isolate r, I need to add 5 to cancel it out. But I need to make sure that I solve both inequalities. So I'm going to add 5 to the negative 1 as well as to the negative 4. That results in 1 is less than 2r is less than or equal to 4. And again, I need to still isolate r. That means I'm going to divide by 2, which results me in a final answer of 1/2 is less than r is less than or equal to 2. Remember, what this means is that r needs to be greater than 1/2 and r needs to be less than or equal to 2, and it has to meet both requirements. If I look at that on my number line, I can see that those values, so here's 1/2 and here's 2, and I'm filling in the dot on 2 because it's or equal to, all the numbers between 1/2 and 2 fit those requirements. 1 is greater than, so if I put 1 right here, 1 is less than 2, and it is greater than 1/2. Go ahead and press pause and practice these two problems. All right, to begin, remember I need to separate this out into my two different inequalities, and I'm going to solve the center for x this time. So I'm going to begin by adding 1 to all of the sides. I end up with negative 2 is less than or equal to 2x is less than or equal to 8. I'm still going to isolate x, so I need to divide by 2, and again I need to do that on all sides. I end up with negative 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. And again on my number line, I can write out my numbers, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And remember, I am looking for the numbers that are greater than negative 1 and smaller than 4. So greater than or equal to negative 1, here smaller than 4 is going to be the numbers in between. On this last problem, let's go ahead and do that together. So subtract 1 to isolate the first step to isolating n. I end up with 6 is less than negative 3n is less than or equal to 12. Now remember that the one thing that is different about solving inequalities from solving equation is that when I divide by a negative, and I'm dividing by negative 3 right here, I'm going to flip my inequality sign. And because I'm dividing negative 3 on this side, that's going to flip this sign. And because I am also dividing by a negative over here, that is also going to flip that sign. So my inequality says n needs to be smaller than negative 2, but n also needs to be greater than negative 4. When you're graphing, make sure that the smaller number comes first. So negative 4 comes before negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, and my values are going to be, they can equal negative 4, but they cannot equal 2, and they can equal everything in between. Now let's talk about solving or inequalities. Solving a compound inequality with or, I'm going to solve each piece separately, and then I'm going to graph on the same line. So these are two separate problems. So let's solve the first problem. Minus 3 from both sides results with 4v is less than negative 8. If I divide both sides by 4, that gives me the result of v is less than negative 2. Let's go ahead and solve the second. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I end up with negative 2v is less than negative 6. Now remember that special rule when I divide by negative, I flip my sign and it says v is greater than 3. Now don't forget to include the word or so that I know what type of inequality this is. If I need to graph my result, negative 2, and we're looking at all the values smaller, and positive 3, we're looking at all the values larger, and those are my solutions. Go ahead and take a second, pause this video, and practice. All right, let's get going. So subtract 11 for x is less than or equal to negative 8. Divide by 4, that results in x is less than or equal to negative 2. Solving the second, plus 8. 2x is greater than 2, divided by 2, and x is greater than 1. Remember to write the word or in my final answer, and that is my solution. If I had to graph it, here's negative 2, less than or equal to negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, greater than 1. Last but not least, let's talk about story problems. We're going to start by reading. A store is offering a $30 mail-in rebate on all color printers. Luis is looking at different color printers that range in price from $175 to $260. How much can he expect to spend after the rebate? Well, if he has a $30 mail-in rebate, let's talk about what that is for just one second. A rebate means it's pretty much like a $30 coupon. So if he has a $30 coupon and he is looking at printers in the $775 to $260 range, that means he can probably afford more than this range. His range is actually going to go up a little bit. So let's go ahead and write our inequality. Because they give us this range, we're going to assume that this is an and inequality. Remember, and inequalities, I can write 175, x is in my middle, and 260. Now, I'm going to need to add one thing to my story problem. They have this $30 mail-in rebate, so I'm going to subtract 30, because it's like a $30 coupon, from x, because that's how much I'm actually going to expect that I'm going to spend. That value needs to be less than or equal to $260 to end with, and greater than or equal to 175. I'm going to go ahead and solve this inequality. Plus 30. I need to do for that the same for both inequalities. So plus 30, and that results in the range of 205 to 290. So Luis can actually look in the $205 range to the $290 range because he has that $30 mail-in rebate. And that is my final answer. If you have any questions, please reach out to your teacher.